Welcome back to another episode of All Well with Alex. I am joined by Sanaa Barnes, my former Villanova teammate. She's a Villanova, Auburn, and professional track and field athlete, high jumper, absolutely killing it. Thrilled to have you. Thanks so much for being here, Sanaa.
Of course, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into all the things. I know you just came off of an incredible PR performance at the USA Championships. So cool to see. And there's so many other exciting things going on. So first, I just want to jump into how are you doing? How's life? And did I see something on your finger?
Yes, life is going well. I did get engaged this past Sunday, so
Look at
that was super fun. I just turned 25, as you mentioned. I had my huge PR. I am very blessed. I'm headed to Bahamas tomorrow for the
that.
NACAC Championship to compete for Team USA. So a lot of things going on, a lot of things forming, and just trying to regulate being a normal 25-year-old in the midst of all this.
You're
And it's
doing an amazing job.
I just realized I had to plan a wedding like earlier this week, and I was like, oh, I actually have to know how to do that now. So I'm like internally freaking out. But
that'll come later. You gotta be like, hey mom, can you help me with this?
I asked. She fell asleep on me. We were looking at stuff yesterday, and she was like, yeah, that looks nice. And I turned out she was asleep. I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh. Of
But
course.
super excited.
Very exciting times. Yes. So let's just rewind it back a few days ago when you had a breakthrough performance. I just want to kind of set the stage here because USATF, the championships are a really big stage. What did it take for you to make such a breakthrough with that type of pressure?
Alex, if I'm being really honest with you, it took a lot of prayer. That was like, I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of having the right people around you at the right time. And it just for me, I am on a journey spiritually. I am a Christian, and this season I have decided to call it my season of faith because really it has been the most unconventional season I have ever had. It's not consistent whatsoever. And as you know, as an athlete, consistency is important. So to have such a breakthrough, I really had to lean on God, prayer, my support system, and everything. Like it took a lot of discipline. If I'm being so honest, the change in everything, it was discipline in my spiritual life. Like I made a commitment to God very, I want to say probably April.
Okay.
Maybe March, but we'll say April. And I was like, look, I don't know what's going on in my life. This is the first time I don't really have control of it because as I had full ride to Villanova, I had a full ride to Auburn. Everything just kind of fell in place, and now I am a working 25-year-old trying to be a professional athlete and all the things, trying to apparently get married, as I didn't know at the time,
Apparently.
trying to navigate my friendships, just so much going on. And I was like, I can't do it alone. And so I made a commitment and I was like, look, I'm going to meet God in my prayer closet every morning and every night. I'm going to read my Bible every night and I'm going to really listen to him. And I think the thing that I learned this season is how to hear his voice and how to really follow God's plan.
That's beautiful and so powerful. Is there a feeling that you get in competition kind of when you make that connection to your faith or to God?
Yes, it's actually really funny you say this. And I feel like people are gonna be like, this girl is crazy. But no, really, if like I'm sitting there and like I said, I had to realize what God's voice sounded like because I feel like there's a lot of voices. You have the voices of your family, you have the voices of your coaches, yourself. And I tell people all as of lately, I've told people God's voice is very quiet and you have to make space to listen to it. And I'm sitting there and I'm getting ready to jump and I'm jumping. I'm in the middle of competition. And I just hear God say, all right, 3 more bars. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about 3 more bars? One bar matches my PR. And it's funny because I don't know if you saw I know I'm going to jumping everywhere, but I put on my story that when I was traveling, I was like, hey, who can guess what I'm going to jump? I put 188, 191, and 194. And I wasn't put 194, but God was like, no, put it there. I was like, okay. and
Wow.
almost everybody voted for 194. And I'm like, okay, this is an unusual amount. And then I also like did it in like feet, so people understood like what that meant, just so people can be like, oh, I just pick something. Like you knew what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
So
so
let's let everyone know that that is 6'4", right?
yes, it's 6'4 1/4 inch.
Yeah. And that's
Um,
2 inches and a quarter above your PR before, right?
yes.
So that's
Yeah.
a big jump for high jump. For anyone who doesn't know the high jump, that's a big deal. Continue.
Yes. And so I put that on there, and I'm like, there's a lot of people saying 194. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. And in the back of my head, I hear the number 194. And I'm like, that's clearly not my voice because I'm just here to jump. And so I'm like, okay, got something 194. And then it's funny, I ran into a few other people, and they're like, oh, you're gonna jump 194 this weekend. And I'm like, whoa, okay, everybody's saying this. What's going on? And so I
Yeah.
start getting to the zone, and I'm sitting there, and initially, I'll tell you what happens when you don't listen to him, what happens when you listen. So me and my coach talking about starting heights. And he's like, and God's like, start at 180. My coach said start 175. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want to dispute my coach, but obviously like you want to listen to God first. But like I didn't listen and I went 175. The only bar I missed was 180. And I was like, really? Okay.
No way.
That
Wow.
was the only bar I missed.
That's wild.
And so after that, God goes, all right, you have this many bars left. I think is what 180, 185, 188, 191, 195, 4. Yeah, he goes, all right, 5 bars left. And I'm counting, I'm like 5 bars. All right, whatever. And so I get up there and I clear it. And he's like, 4 bars. And I clear it. And all this down to 1. He's like, all right, and then I just hear you're gonna get over this bar. And so I jump, I hit the bar, and I look, and the bar's still up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing up there? I hit you. And it was an ecstatic feeling. It was this amazing breakthrough, and it just felt perfect because not only was it all right, I'm really here in tune with my spiritual side. I have my dad in the stands. Unfortunately, my mom and my sister couldn't make it because those are 2 huge parts of my support system. But I had my dad there, my best friends there. I had my other best friend from Nova come up there, and my boyfriend at the time, but now my fiance. He was also there, and then my coach. And so it was just like these are all people that have really grounded me in this journey, have really seen my struggles, have watched me work 12-hour shifts. Because one thing that I have been doing, like I'm working 12-hour shifts, and like, how do I do all of this together? And
Mhm.
so being out there and just hearing God speak to me and like knowing that this is the time. And even in the competition, my coach has his friends there and they're like, Sanaa, you're gonna have a double PR today. And I'm like, what is everybody talking about? Like everybody's
You
just
came with the energy.
yeah, I was like, I love this energy, but like, where is everybody getting this from? And
Mm.
then it all fell together right then and there. And it was just the most amazing feeling. And I think most of all, it was freeing because it was that reassurance that I'm not crazy, but God really has my back. When you choose to go to Him, He'll meet you where you are.
Mm. That's so powerful. It's so cool to hear you walk through kind of like what the actual meet was like and the way those events happened in the order that they happened is so mind blowing, but it's so powerful and really cool. And you said that you started to lean more into your faith kind of more recently this season, but you've had so much success leading you to this point. What was your competition like, kind of like in other instances when you didn't really have God's voice tuning in or you didn't have that same level of faith? What did competition feel like then?
Oh, that is the most anxiety inducing competition ever. When you're not listening to God, when you're not sitting there like really trying to focus, I'm sitting here like, I gotta get this bar. I'm terrified. I'm second guessing myself. I'm questioning. I'm like, and obviously, like, I've had good performances on that stage with that, but it's just a different feeling.
Mm,
Like, when God is there, you feel light, you feel airy, you just feel like everything is clicking.
mhm,
When you're by yourself, it's like, all right, I'm gonna just do this. And like I say by yourself, because like you're never alone, but like when you're not allowing God to take the reins, you're fighting your anxiety, you're fighting your nerves. Sometimes you're shaking. I tend to get really hungry in competitions. It's actually
mm,
really crazy. This and like if you ask people who have consistently competed with me, they'll tell you this girl is always asking for a snack. This time, I remember my snacks. I went to my bag, my snacks were there. And so, like, it's just like the little things that you don't think about that he puts in your head to do.
Mhm.
And when you're not like really in tune, it's kind of like you can feel it. Like you feel like a heaviness. And for high jumpers, you don't want to feel heavy like that. Honestly, for track in general, but like heavy is
You
not
wanna feel
something.
light. Yeah.
And I will say that like I had to realize there is definitely a difference between feeling spiritually heavy and like physically heavy. Because even if you like I could step on the scale and be 125, but if I have that anxiety and holding on to that, it weighs on you. And like it doesn't go away like that easy. Yeah, I had this amazing performance, but now I have another performance to go to. And this weekend I felt it. I was anxious, I was stressed, and actually my fiance, he called me, I picked him from the airport and he was like, all right, you're clearly not here with me. Where's your head at? And I told him, and he was like, you just had this amazing performance by leaning on God, but yet you're sitting in the car stressed out about track meets, about financial situations, just all these things. And he's like, why don't you do what you did at the track meet? And I'm like, oh. And I actually had practice that day and it was a terrible practice. My form was bad. I was slow. Everything was hurting. And then we stepped on the track, we regrouped, I prayed about it, and today I had an amazing practice. So it's like even when you're there, it's always a consistent push. It's always consistent effort to work on yourself on
Mm.
and off the track. It doesn't stop when you have that breakthrough moment. You have to keep going.
Right, absolutely. And that's something that's so admirable, I think, and cool about track and field is that there's so much pressure in that moment to perform, but there's so much that goes into it. So many bad days that go into that one good day that became your breakthrough. So,
Mhm.
so inspiring to hear. You mentioned too, like the balancing act that goes into being a professional athlete. What was the transition like from full ride, Division 1, collegiate, fun times to being a pro competing unattached?
Oh, it was terrible. It was horrible. There were days where I was like, actually, my first meet this year was pin relays for outdoor. And I was like, God, if you don't want me to do this, I'll quit right now. I was on my hands and knees praying, and I was like, look, give me a sign. This is not for me. And I went out and I jumped 187 at the time, which was a centimeter below my PR, and I won the meet. So I was like, well, I'm gonna take that as that's not a sign not to keep going.
Yeah, I think
And I
I'll
was like, okay, how do I do this? Because so I'm a service advisor at Soul B&W Grapevine. Great dealership out here. I love my coworkers. The Soul family has been so great to me. But I do work. I was working from 6:45 a.m. to 6:45 p.m.
wow.
and fitting training in between. And it's like this is insane. Like I was tired, I was hurting, and it wasn't conducive to um track. And I feel like as I talk about my experience, you're gonna see why I'm calling it my season of faith. Because there were just so many things like this season where God was like, oh, you need that? Let me just, and I was like, huh. And actually, I keep mentioning my fiance because like he was really a grounding point of me finding that voice, finding that consistency. Obviously, my church family too, but him and I like really had heart to heart conversations about like this is what you say you want, but like this is not what you're doing. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna keep working 12-hour shifts and get to where I want to be. Like I don't have time to recover. I don't have time to lift. I don't have time to run. Like I'm waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to run, and then trying to
Mhm.
lift after work. And I'm like, my lifts are terrible because I'm exhausted. I'm sleeping on my off day all day. Like I'm not really eating, which I guess cool. I'm lighter, but I'm skin and bone, not muscle. So
Right, not ideal.
yeah, it was just all these things. And so I said that, and next thing I know, my the director of my job is calling me in the office and was like, "Hey, tell me about your track career." And I'm like, "What?" I did find out later that like my coach knew Mr. Sewell, who like owns all these dealerships, and he would talk to him about them. They were like, "Yeah, the Sewell family like thinks is like really important for you," and you really need to like give this a go. So tell us what you need to do this better. So we ended up changing my shift from 12 hours to 8 hours. So I come in later or I leave earlier, give me time to train, give me time to recover. And like, even just for them to have it in their hearts and be like, hey, we want to see you succeed was such a big deal. And like, I'm really blessed to be in that situation because some people would just be like, well, this might not work for you. And like, wish you all the best. But for them to really sit there and be like, we're going to work for you, help you work through this, it was really great.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
then even my recovery team, oh my gosh, they're amazing. I work with a team called Texas Muscle Activation out in Frisco, and they actually opened up somewhere in South Lake. And I was going there using their chiropractor, and that was kind of like a one-way relationship through my coach because obviously, like sports, your bones are going to move.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I'm talking so much,
No, this is what it's all about, girl.
but yeah, we were. So I was going to see my chiropractor, and he kept saying, "You need to see Chad. You need to see Chad." And I'm like, "I can't afford Chad." Like,
I can't
and
afford chat.
like and they're actually really great people. But in the back of my head, I'm like, all these expenses, like I gotta pay for my car note, I have to save up to travel. I'm like, I got too much going on. I can't afford Chad. So
Mm-hmm.
Chad comes in, he's talking to me, and I'm really like having really bad hamstring problems. Like I had really bad hamstring problems. So I'm just praying and praying and praying. I'm like, look, God, um, I need this hamstring to be better. I can't do anything with this hamstring like this. And then next thing I know, Chad comes in and he's like, let me look at it. So he looks at it, he does a few like do 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 like activating my muscles. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, this makes a difference. And he was like, I want to help you. And so they've been helping me. And then he goes, okay, you need to see Christian. And I'm like, who's Christian? I thought it was Dr. Sam, Chad. I thought we were good.
A village.
Yeah. And it really does take a village to do all of this. And
Mhm.
Christian, he works with my neural system. So we use a new fit and he puts it on and he has me doing these isometrics. If you know me, I hate isometrics. I will always negotiate out of isometrics.
Does anyone like doing anything that requires a hold? Like, I don't think anyone likes that.
Exactly. But this, he's like hooking up these pads and like activating my muscles and we're doing isofits and I'm seeing the difference. I'm not aching, I'm not hurting as much, and the recovery is just insane. And just for God to like lead me to all these people that are willing to help and willing to really and want to see me like succeed. Like I just left them and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you're engaged." They're like invested in their athletes there.
Yeah, that's
It's
so
not just transactional.
yes. And that's the type of support that you need as an athlete. I think, especially when it comes to something that's so physical in a sense where you're taking a lot of impact on your body. And yeah, it's not a contact sport in any way, but you're explosive. You're putting all of your force into the ground when you jump, and then you've got lifting and running and all the other kind of peripheral training that charges you up as a jumper. It's so much on the body. What else is kind of key to your recovery when it comes to like in between training sessions, or even if you're not dealing with something that kind of is hurting your hamstring, how do you take care of your body?
Eating right.
The
That's
hardest thing, right?
that is, I'm not gonna lie, I have my chocolate cake right here for my birthday. I'm be
Oh,
honest.
okay. Well, it's your birthday, so
And I did get a little chocolate cake, but that is definitely my kryptonite. But eating right is so important. It makes a difference. I learned that last season. So last season was like probably my professional debut at the Olympic trials.
mhm.
This is like my full season debut, but like last year was I just had outdoor and I was by myself. Well, I was with somebody in Atlanta, with Coach Page in Atlanta, who was also great. But I was like, all right, I'm really gonna buckle down. I'm gonna eat. So I started eating fruits. I started eating vegetables. I started eating lean meat. Um, Drinking water. I don't think people realize how much sugar is in your teas and your juices, and it makes a difference. I
Mhm.
stopped drinking soda. Now, if y'all see me drink a soda, don't judge me. We have one every now and then, but for the
For the
most,
most part.
yeah,
Day in and day
I,
out.
it
Those
makes
things.
and it's like even just the way your body burns those calories,
Mhm.
totally different. Like I used to take naps all the time. I used to need a nap. If you
Mhm.
know me from Villanova, don't call me, I'm taking a nap.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I started eating right and I was like, all right, time to lay down for a nap. But I'm not tired. This is weird. And my energy
Mhm.
levels changed, my body's changed. Like I went to see my grandma and she was like, you look lean. You okay? Like it's kind of like you look good, but like you look
It's always grandmas and moms that are like,
different.
wait, are you skipping meals? Like, no,
Yeah,
this is intentional.
right. They were like, you look good, you look muscular and all this, but what's going on? And so it made such a difference in my energy levels and my skin.
Oh, yeah.
The skin was a big one for me, as you could probably. I have a breakout right now, unfortunately, but
You're glowing, girl.
oh, thank you. So are you. You've always had great skin, though.
No, but it's the water and it's the veggies. I'm telling you.
It,
Drinking water, eating those veggies, you feel amazing. Your skin looks amazing. So, when you're talking about you're eating healthy, you're training a lot, what is a typical day in your life? When are you eating? When are you training? When are you working?
yes. So typical day. Give you it obviously changes between what day it is, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm definitely waking up probably anywhere between, depending on the day, but anywhere between 5 to 7:30.
Mhm.
Um, and start my day off always at the prayer closet. Like I said, waking up, calling my fiance, then we pray on the phone because we're long distance, and then let's see. After that, I'm getting dressed. Depending on if it's Monday or Tuesday, so Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are the same schedules. Tuesday, Thursday, same schedules. If it's a Monday, I'm getting dressed. I'm going to go see my recovery team, and so they're doing P waving. Oh, food. That is something I always forget about food. So I actually really love the little Chobani drinkable yogurts.
They are so good.
They are really good. I hate yogurt and I love those. And I
Yeah.
just recently found them because I got my wisdom teeth actually taken out 2 weeks before the US championships. So I was like not eating very much, but those things saved my life. And so I
There's
grabbed
like
one of those.
25 grams of protein in there.
Exact. And they have the high protein
Morning.
ones too.
You got to sponsor us.
Look, I love their products,
Yeah.
even their oat milk, all that. But so I'm grabbing that and then probably applesauce, some water, or I have this Evolution Superfruit greens that I like to drink for my greens in there, and that's normally pretty much a light breakfast for me, just because I don't like being heavy. I'm not big on breakfast, but I know I need something, so I
Mhm.
grab that. Probably like two little applesauces. I'm a big applesauce girly.
Mm.
And it changes because I get bored of things. So if I'm not doing that, I'm doing oatmeal and toast or sausage or something.
Mm.
Then I'm out the door and I'm going to see my recovery team. Love them. Starting my day off with a smile. Literally don't like leaving them.
Oh.
And so they do the P waving, which helps with inflammation. And then I'll go see Christian and he puts me on the NeuroFit like we talked about. And then I'll see Chad and he'll activate my muscles. And then I'll see Dr. Sam once a week. And we'll do that. And then I will say my and then they have this thing. If anybody follows me, you probably see my recovery videos. I like to call it the rotisserie chicken. It's called Core 360 though. So I had to do that before I leave, and it just rotates you, and you have to hold these positions, and it forces your abs to like, I guess, gives you abs basically.
Yeah.
But hate that thing. But that is something that is definitely routine for me. And then I'm off to work, which is about probably like 30 minutes. But I get to work. I'll work from if I'm doing that on a Monday. I get there probably around 10 to 11, and I'm there until 6 to 6:30ish. I'm getting off, and then food again. Sorry, as you can see, food is something that I have to think about.
Have to remember that one.
Yes, I do have my little snack drawer, so I'll have like a little granola or something. I try to keep something on me, and I'll have lunch probably around anywhere between 12 or 1. And I like to do salads from Eatsies. I like to do sandwiches. I will say, don't kill me, but Chick-fil-A is, if I'm stressed, promise you'll find me at Chick-fil-A. If
I mean,
life is
Chick-fil-A
hard,
like cures everything. It's so good.
that is like I don't know what to eat. I don't have time to make decisions. I'm going to
Protein.
Chick-fil-A. Literally, there was a point where my best friend would be like, "Oh, you're at lunch? I bet you're at Chick-fil-A." And I'm like, "Look, leave me alone."
Leave me alone. I'm not that predictable.
No, 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 I am. Unfortunately, I am.
Love
But
it. Chick-fil-A is
so
like it's a great protein option, you know?
Yeah, like, and that's how I justify it. I'm like, oh, I have to run tonight. Yeah, some carbs, some chicken,
Yeah.
for sure. And then they also have the Southwest salad. I eat that too.
Yeah.
All my little things. But I try to do it healthy for the most part. If I have time, I'll get some salmon, whatever I can, as far as like lean, quick, nothing too heavy. It's something that my body can easily burn. So the rices, the salmons, the vegetables, like you said, the fruits. And then I get off at 6:30. I normally hit the track. I do my little endurance run, depending on the week. I'll have to do lifting and running. Some days my coach is nice and is like, okay, do one or the other. But for the most part, I'll go run first, and then I'll hit the weight room. Using a public gym is different.
Oh
It's
gosh, that's a whole nother experience, right?
Yes, that was weird for me. I had to get used to that. Um, but I would do that. I'm coming home, and then once again eating something quick, probably like a salad or something like broccoli. I'm a broccoli fiend. If you want to like make my day, bring me a bowl of broccoli and some
Are you
salt.
cooking it or are you eating broccoli raw?
I'm steaming it. I have not gotten to the raw broccoli side.
Yeah, I'm not eating broccoli raw. Cooking it, I'll eat a ton of broccoli.
Yes, I am a steamed broccoli girly. Do not ask me what vegetable I want because I'm going to say broccoli. Um,
She's a healthy girl.
oh for sure. Like we were in Eugene and they put me up to ordering the groceries and they're like, you ordered 3 bags of broccoli. We're here
No way.
they were like, we're here for 2 days. What are we doing with all this broccoli? And
How
I'm
are you
like,
steaming broccoli? Were you in an Airbnb?
yes. So we did get
Okay.
Airbnb, which was really nice because anybody who's been to Eugene and US championships knows it is not fun.
Yeah. Not what
Accessibility
else is it?
sucks, but it's okay.
Yeah. Cool.
And at that point, eating dinner, washing, doing all that, getting ready to go to bed, sleep by probably, I like to say 10 because I have to do I spend about an hour, I say 30 minutes to an hour praying and doing Bible study and stuff. So sleep by probably like 10.
Nice. You got a good routine. So, would you say that your like evening routine, wind down, self care is all kind of tied into your prayer, or do you have another like component of your kind of like nighttime routine?
It depends. It really depends. I think it's always going to be tied to a prayer because that's how I'm going to finish my night every night, no matter if I'm tired or not. Like, there's been times where I was like, all right, God, I'm going to take a nap. And then I get up and do this. And I'll take that nap. And then he'd be like, well, I'm waiting. I'm there. All right, okay, okay. So I'll go. But no, it's definitely tied to that. But I also have my grounding point where whether I'm talking to my best friend, whether I'm talking to my fiance, and I just need to decompress, whether that be them telling me about their day, whether it be me talking about something extravagant that happened in my life, or just something just kind of like to step away from the track, step away from work and all of the voices. Oh my gosh, I have my little sister that is my light and joy. So
Aw.
some days I'll just be like, I'm gonna go bother her. And then obviously it's nice living at home, so I can just go bother my mom if I want to. So all these little like knickknacks that make me feel like a normal person again, just like, okay, I don't have to overwhelm myself. No pressure. These people love me whether I'm a track athlete or not. And I think that's a key thing to remember that
Absolutely.
your life does not end with this sport.
There's so much more to you, who you are, your value to this world than just your sport. And that's so key that you say that because I think it's really easy to get wrapped up in your identity as an athlete, especially, you know, you have the privilege of, and you've earned it to be a pro. I think a lot of people struggle with transitioning out of collegiate athletics into the real world. And you're like, wait, life was so different on campus. And it's
Oh,
so
for sure.
unique and special that we get to experience like what we do as Division I athletes, but it's also like there's more to me and I need to discover that and nurture that side too. And that's so great that you have your family as your support system there with you. That's one of the most important things, right?
Mhm.
So before we wrap up, I would love to know your advice for someone that is trying to kind of expand on their faith or maybe just bring their faith into their sport or their profession, whatever it may be. Where should they start?
Oh my gosh. Do not be scared to talk about God.
Mm.
that is where I'm going to start, because I think the biggest thing for me was, oh my gosh, what if somebody judges me for talking about my faith? And
Mm.
then it was like, well, do you want to really be around them anyway? If like they don't have faith in God, or like they don't follow, do we really need to be in that same space?
Mm.
If they're going to judge you and like make you feel bad about that, I think it's that. And it was also, it's little things. Make those little commitments. Like, be like, look, God, I'm going to spend, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes to an hour. You just be like, I'm going to spend 5 minutes. I'm going to my drive to work. I'm going to listen to the Bible.
Mm.
My I'm going to pray every day before every meal I eat, or something like that. These small commitments, and then you find yourself seeking God. Like, it's so cool to hear his voice. I'm like, when I don't hear it, I'm like, where'd you go? And it's like, oh, you didn't go anywhere. I just need to go back to the prayer closet, which is my personal grounding space.
Mm.
Um, that is something that I learned from my fiance. He was like, I'm going to this prayer closet. It's actually funny. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
Um, so he was always like, God told me this, God told me that. And I'm like, what do you mean God's talking to you? He's not talking to me. Why is he talking to me? And he would be like, he's like, God loves you. And I'm like, you keep telling me that, but he didn't tell me this. He tells you that he loves me to tell me. That didn't make sense. If he loves me, he tell me.
Not the same thing.
Right. And he's like, no, 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 God loves you so much. And he's like, God talks to you. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. So I was in Tampa with him, and we were in the prayer closet together, and we were praying. And so he gets up because we're done praying. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit here till God talks to me, because you're talking, because you're saying this, that, and third. God's talking, God's telling you this, and you swear he's talking to me. I keep telling you he's not. So I'm sitting there, and we're trying to figure out just things about our relationship. I won't reveal it yet. So 'cause I know there's some. Well, I guess I can. No, I won't reveal it. But there's a question about our relationship, and he was just like, I sat there and I was sitting there. And I finally was like, all right, you know what? I'm leaving. And so I get up out of the prayer closet and I leave. And he goes, so what did God tell you? And I was like, nothing. And so I'm all grumpy and stuff. And he's like, that's not true. God told me he told you he was going to tell. God told me you were going to stay in there, and you stayed in there. And God told me that he talked to you. So what did he tell you? And I'm like, nothing. So go about our day, and we're just talking. And then he was playing his piano. He turns to me and he was like, tell me what happened in the closet. And I was like, okay. I was sitting there, and I was thinking my birthday, and I was thinking about these things, and then I was thinking about September. And he was like, why do you think about September? And I was like, I don't know. It just kept coming to my head. And he's like, why do you think it was coming to your head? And I was like, I don't know, Randall. Why was it coming to my head? It just popped up there. And I couldn't. And then he was like, okay, what happened when you got out? I was like, I don't know. I was going the other day, and September kept coming to my head. I was thinking about the question, and it was just September. And I was like, why you keep harping on September? He was like, would you ever think about September? I was like, no. He was like, so you don't think that was God telling you September? I was like, oh. And it's like that quiet voice that just like, when you're like, I would never think about that. That's never something that I would say to myself. And you're like, and you finally have to realize, oh, that's God.
Yeah.
And it just, when you seek him, he'll come. So I
Mm.
think my basic advice is seek him, be consistent, and be patient. Because it is not, I'm not telling anybody they're going to start praying and then God's going to be like, oh, hello. It's not going to be like that.
You have to have that patience, right? And that kind of willing to go through the journey of seeking his voice, like you said. And I'm kind of on that journey myself right now. So it's very inspiring to hear you talk about it. And I know you have a meet coming up with NCACs, right? And then potentially Tokyo, right?
As God willing, I'll do well in this
So
meet.
what does that look like going into this weekend, or is it is this weekend, right?
Yes, I jump Saturday.
Okay, so Saturday. What are you thinking about? What's running through your mind for this one?
Um, it's very simple. I'm praying about it.
Mhm.
I don't ever go anywhere with plans to lose. So obviously, like, I'm praying for a win. I'm praying for another PR if that's in his will. And just to be a testimony for others. If I'm being honest, like, that is the journey I'm on, whether I do well or bad. It's kind of like I still wouldn't be standing here without God. But just to know, like, so people know what we're looking for really is I need a few more world ranking points. For anybody that doesn't know, IAAF, the International Athletics
Federation?
Federation, it's like the huge global federation that keeps control of world ranking points and all of that. There's two ways to make the world team. It's either by making the automatic standard, which was the bar that I missed at US Championships, 197. And then there's also ranking points, top 36 in the world go. Last time I checked, I was sitting on the road to Tokyo. I was sitting at 38, but two people will be dropping out because one of the high jumpers got pregnant. The other one just ended her season. So right now, if without those, I'm sitting 36. If I can stay in that 36, I will be on the U.S. team for the World Championships. So we are hoping for big points this weekend. So high bars and high placements gets you high ranking points. And if I can move in that ranking to solidify my spot, that would be great. So all glory to God at that point, because I did not think I was going to be here in April. I was so ready for God to be like, yeah, you can quit now. No, it's like,
He's like,
oh,
no. And here you are. You are getting ready for yet another opportunity. And what a huge accomplishment. What a great space to be going into a new competition, right? You're in such a great headspace. And it's really inspiring to hear your relationship with God and how it's carrying you through your career. So I am so excited to see how it all goes. And once again, congratulations on the PR. We are rooting for you and we are excited to see you get those points.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Thanks so much for joining. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and stay tuned for our next episode of All Well with Alex, where we discuss all things health, wellness, and the athlete mentality.